Hey, folks, this is my podcast, Kentucky Fathers. I wanted to take this opportunity today to share a very important message. It was many years ago, this day, on a Christmas Eve, my father died. He died of a massive heart attack. We all were at an event at a friend of his house. And at that event was my Uncle John, my grandfather, and my grandmother. And of course, my little sister was there too. It was the first time in memory that my grandfather left Oberlin, Ohio. That is no exaggeration. And he traveled to Louisville to be with us, to be with his son. His youngest son. Well, actually, his youngest son was my Uncle Lawrence, but to be with his son. And there we were, Christmas Eve, and my father had a fatal heart attack. Christmas Eve, folks. And before that time, my father was looking to get physical custody of my sister and I. My father had serious heart disease. I mean, he one time had open heart surgery. And at that time, it really was very experimental. I mean, open heart surgery then isn't like open heart surgery today. I mean, there was some tremendous medical advances. And my father and his medical doctor was such that they said to my mother had physical custody of my sister and I at the time. My father's requesting, hey, I want to see my children before I go into surgery. Because, I mean, there was a strong possibility he wasn't going to come out of it. He wanted to see his children. And my mother refused. I don't know why, but she refused. She didn't let that happen. But a few years after that, my father sought physical custody of my sister and I. Now, you got to bear in mind now, this guy, he has some serious heart disease, serious heart trouble. And his heart doctor was Dr. Wolfe. I'll never forget it. I don't remember his first name, but I remember his last name, Wolfe. And my father, praised that man. And so my father told, of course, his mother and my Uncle John and, my grandfather, his father, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And Dr. Wolfe told him, sir, if you take your children, the stress of you working full-time and the stress of you trying to raise 2 children by yourself, it will kill you within 2 years. I mean, Dr. Wolfe was clear. He said, man, the stress will kill you within 2 years. And Dr. Wolfe didn't have any issue whatsoever in saying that to my father's parents and saying that to my Uncle John. And of course, it's only quite natural, my grandmother was saying to my father, hey, don't do it. And my uncle was saying to my father, hey, don't do it. Okay? And I'll never forget, my Uncle John told me, he said, Corbin, that's what we said to your father. And I'm going to tell you what your father said to me. I'm going to tell you what your father said to me word for word, his response. He said, I'm already dead without my children. I'm already dead without my children. So he sought physical custody. He got it. And knowing, at least being told by his doctor, you'll be dead within 2 years. And my father's attitude is that, so be it. That's just part of what it means to be a father. And let me tell you guys something. You are no different than my father. You are no different than my father. If it meant you giving up your life for your children, every last one of you would do it. You would do it in different ways. You guys are, all of us fathers. That's what it's about. That's what it's about with my child. My child right now hasn't spoken to me in several years. It kills me. But I swear to you, if God said to me, Corbin, I'm going to give you a choice. I'm gonna give you the opportunity for your daughter to come, sit down, talk with you, have a meal with you for about 2 hours. But after that meal, after that 2 hours, on the way to your car, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to take you. I say, Lord, where am I going to have that meal? Where restaurants they're going to be at? I would do it. From a baby, I would do it. God said, man, your daughter's real sick. Tell you what, though, if you give up this organ, if you give some blood or whatever, I'll save her, but I'll kill you. And I said, Lord, just as long as the only thing I ask of you, don't make it a painful death. Don't make it a lingering death. Take me for my child. But you guys are the same way. My father was clear. He was told, man, you'd be dead in 2 years. He didn't care. In his mind, he was already dead without his children. That's what it means to be a father, guys. You guys know that as well as I do. And so some of you may be asked, well, why are you saying that? I'm saying because in this culture right now, fathers and fatherhood is just beaten up. They're beating up on us. They're telling us toxic masculinity. They're telling us we're a superfluous appendage. We're not necessary. And so we sort of collectively and individually, we sort of lower our heads. Man, raise your damn head. Raise your damn head. And ignore those nut jobs. You're a father. You are necessary. You are not just important, you're vitally important. You're critically important. You should never bow your head when you want to be nothing but to serve your children in the capacity as a father. What shame are you going to have when you know darn good and well, if you have to die for your children, you'll die for your children. You have to sacrifice for your children, you'll sacrifice for your children. There ain't no shame in that. There's no shame in saying to your children, look, I'm not the best. I'm not the fastest. I'm not the strongest. I'm not the best looking. I'm not the richest, but daggone, I'm your father. And I praise God for giving me the opportunity to be your father. I want to be your daddy. I want to spend time with you. I want to watch you grow up. I want a good, healthy relationship with you. You guys better stop hanging your head. You better not hang your head around me. I'll smack you. You better raise your head up, yeah? You're a father. That's a blessing. And you're the best father you can be. You're trying to be the best father you can be. Ain't no shame in that. You know you love your children. You know you're devoted to your children. Now, some of you are letting this culture beat you down. So you say, well, every time I try to see my child, the mother interrupts. Every time my child doesn't want to see me, my child doesn't send me a Christmas card, my child doesn't talk to me. I was in the hospital, my child didn't come around. So what? So what? Get up and go and keep pursuing your child. Keep writing your child, emailing, texting, visiting. Do anything you can do, whatever it takes. You may wake up, your child, you may have physical custody of your child. You and the mother might still be together, whatever. You wake up in the morning. It's cold, man. It's cold outside. And that boss is always on your butt talking crazy to you. And you ain't making next to anything. Get up and go to work, man. You're a father. Do it for your children. Don't do it for yourself. Do it for your children. Do whatever you got to do for your babies. Do whatever you got to do. You're a father, man. We think that's some sort of privilege. I guess it is a privilege. It is a privilege. It is a blessing. But it's one you got to cherish. It's one you got to cherish, man. You got to cherish that blessing. God, for whatever reason, chose you to be the father for this child or this child. And that's so I hope that's an encouragement to you guys. Some of you, I've shared that story about my father to some men, and they're like, wow, that's something. I said, but man, are you a father? He said, yeah. He said, you ain't no different than my daddy. You were said and done, basically said and done the same thing. And you are probably on a daily basis right now saying that to your children every day. I have no life without you, and I would give up my life for you. That's what it means to be a father. That's just part of it, man. That's just what it means to be a father. That's just part of it. You know, I one time, I haven't read this book. You know, I do a book review podcast too, and I haven't read this book, but it's by Larry Elder. And I think the book's name is Dear Father, Dear Son. And Larry Elder talked about how he got very angry with his father one time and didn't speak to him for like 10, 12 years. I mean, it was years. It was a long time. Even when they were in the same roof, he wouldn't say much of anything to him. And Larry Elder became very successful attorney and the whole bit. He was successful in a lot of stuff. I think he's also some sort of professional recruiter or something like that. So, you know, he would go home, but he'd only go home to see his mother. His father was there, but he wouldn't speak to his father. He'd try to work it to where he and his father weren't under the same roof. Then one day, Larry Elder talked about how he's going to have it out with his father. Something was just bothering him. So he decided, man, I'm going to just have it out with my dad. He didn't want a dialogue. He didn't want a discussion. He didn't want a reconciliation. He didn't want restoration of the relationship. He just wanted to, hey, just give it to his dad. Boom, boom, boom. I'm out of here. Well, to make a long story short, he went in there to blast his dad, and then 8 hours later, he was apologizing to his father. And from that point forward, he and his father, they restored their relationship. They start building on restoring their relationship. Sometimes, guys, our children don't know us. They don't know us. One thing Larry Elder pointed out was that, you know, he really didn't know his father. He didn't know why his father acted like this or acted like that or whatever. Because he didn't know his father, the human being. Sometimes we've got to open up to our children. You know, I'm not saying do it when they're 8, 9, 10 years old, but when they're adults, hey, you need to sort of open up to them. You know, you need to show that more tender side of yourself. You know, I'm not telling them every little thing, but got to open up to them so they begin to see, hey, he's a human being. He's not perfect, but he was perfect in his love for me. Or tried to be perfect in his love for me. And he did the best he could do. You know, under the circumstances, you know, given the situation. And it was such a moving experience for Larry Elder. He wrote a book about it. Some of you guys should check that book out. Some of you may need that. And I'm going to say this to some of you other guys. Man, if you're in communication with your children, if you have any type of relationship with them, man, cherish that time with them. And try to get a little bit more time with them. Cherish it, man. Because there's nothing more painful than not being in communication with your children, not having a relationship with your children. Just, you know, cherish that. You know, okay, maybe your daughter's acting like a nut job. Maybe she's acting silly. But at least, you know, just maintain that line of communication with her. You know, and you don't always have to be telling her, well, you know, you need to stop seeing this guy, you need to stop doing that. Sometimes you just say things to her like, you know, baby, I love my time with you. You know, what are some of your dreams? What are some of your goals? What can I do to help you achieve your dreams and goals? Talk to them like that. You know, just say to them, hey, you know, choose a day with Daddy. I used to do that with my daughter. After her mother and I split up, her mother left me. And she was staying with her mother. And I said to Sarah, my baby, well, you got a day with Daddy. And Sarah would always want Saturday to be her day with Daddy. And I'd say, what do you want to do? And if it was within my budget, we did it. It was a day with Daddy. And we also used to do a date with Daddy, where I would ask her, Sarah, would you mind going to this restaurant with me? She said, of course. She looked at me all crazy. Of course, Daddy. I'd show up in a shirt and tie, flowers, and I'd take her out, take her to a nice restaurant. And it was, so a day with Daddy, that's something I suggest. And I would even do that when they're adults. If my Sarah's, she's an adult now. I'd do that with her. I'd say, Sarah, can I have a day with you? A day with Daddy? Can I ask you out to a restaurant? I'll do that. And just talk. Hey, baby, what are some of your plans? Well, oh, really? You plan on doing this? Well, how can I help you? What can I do to help you? What are some of your dreams and your goals? Say it with your daughter. I keep saying daughters, but, I'd say that with your son, too. Maybe your son's acting a fool, running around here. Maybe he's getting drunk driving or whatever. I don't know. Not working. You need to sit him down. Hey, man, what's going on? How can I help you? How can I help you do better? What's some of your dreams or some of your goals? What are you thinking of? They may say something crazy to you. It's, as long as it's reasonably crazy, if they say to you something like, well, I want to be like John Dillinger, be one of the greatest bank robbers in all time. Well, I don't know about that, son. Maybe I can just take you somewhere to like the John Dillinger Museum or something. I don't know, give you some books on John Dillinger. But if your son, he may say something crazy to you like, well, I want to be a rapper. Okay, man, well, I tell you what, you need some studio time? I could buy some studio time for you. I don't have much, but I can buy some studio time for you and buy you some books on rappers. Or, hey, if there's a particular concert, I'll take you to that. Or he or she may say, well, I want to be a police officer. Oh, okay, great. Let's go by a police station and see if we can't get 5 minutes with a police officer. Ask them, hey, what are some of the steps my son or daughter has to do to become a police officer? You go there with them. But if you have that relationship with them, man, and be thankful for that relationship. Build on that relationship, nurture that relationship. And if you don't have that, man, pursue it. Pursue it. Pursue it. You don't have to be obnoxious about pursuing it, but pursue it and be consistent about it. Pursue it and be consistent about it. So I just wanted to share some of those thoughts with you guys on this special day for me, Christmas Eve. It was on Christmas Eve my father died. But, my father died, but he taught me an important lesson. He said, when you're a father, that's a blessing. That's a flat-out blessing. Don't take advantage. I don't want to say take advantage, but don't take it for granted. Don't take it for granted. And if you have to lose your life for the sake of your children, then so be it. That's just part of what it means to be a father. Guys, I wish I could do more for every last one of you fathers out there. I mean that. So only thing I could really come up with is to do this podcast, Kentucky Fathers. I encourage you to please, go to my Facebook page, Kentucky Fathers, and follow, and encourage other fathers to like and follow. And also, I have a poster. It's a very simple black and white poster. I sell it, quote unquote, sell them for $3 for two. Really, that $3 is only covering the shipping and handling. And I just urge people to get that poster. I make a little profit when you buy two for $3. I make a little profit, and that profit helps me to keep my podcast going. keep this Kentucky Fathers podcast going. So that's it. I just wanted to share that with you brothers. And if you go to my Facebook page, Kentucky Fathers, and if you want a couple of posters, just message me. Make sure you message me, and I'll send you the PayPal link. And then you pay the $3. Then you make sure that you give me your physical address. Okay? Appreciate it, guys.